real estate market has gone through various ups and downs in the past decade, the ups being demonetisation, RERA and GST, to name a few, which helped give a facelift to the real estate sector. But the ongoing pandemic, lockdowns and travel curbs have impacted the sector in a big way. The pandemic and the uncertainties it caused has resulted in an increasing desire amongst people to own a house of our own. I mean, who are we kidding? Deep inside our souls, we all love a house that we'd like to call our own. Moreover, according to the industry experts, almost half of the total housing demand in the primary residential market across the major cities of the country is for a two-bedroom apartment. Additionally, there are various incentives that are being provided by the government to help grow the affordable housing segment. With surveys stating that home buyers are now making a distinct shift towards investing in homes, long-term assets, having add-ons like offices, gyms, and even recreational spaces, we are showing the torch at what people frequently ask us today. What are the things to keep in mind before buying a house in India? And quite a valid question, if you ask me. With multiple checklists floating on the internet on buying an apartment in India, we have Dr. Neela Gokhale with us yet again, who is going to take us through the essentiality of the legalities of the home buying process. It is a happy moment for me and the My From Bazaar team to be sharing the platform with you yet again, Mrs. Neela Gokhale. How are you doing today? I mean, if I think about it, this is literally our 4th episode.
Yeah, I think I'm Shruti, to tell you honestly, I'm enjoying this weekly chat with you, and especially on such amazing topics that you come up with, because they are actually so important. The topics which you choose, Shruti, are actually something which an ordinary person really wants to know about. And even if I were to buy a house today, I would be confused because there's so many options, so many schemes available, so many lures the builder gives us. So we just really don't know what to choose and what to look out for.
Well, even while we were kind of deciding on the topic and everything, and I was reading up about it, actually what I said before about there being a lot of checklists is true. There are a dime a dozen checklists, and I mean, anybody will get confused that what is right, what's wrong, how to go about it. So all the more reason to be answering these questions and hearing it from you.
Yeah, actually you've heard the old adage that fools build houses and wise men live in them. So actually it's come to that now, that it's so difficult to buy a house, especially all the options to choose from, and so many pitfalls that you have to look out for.
Yeah, that's true. So viewers, if you are new here, we firstly recommend you to pause this video and hit the subscribe button to not miss any of our future uploads. We already have 3 previous episodes, and which you have obviously missed out on if you are watching us for the first time today. I am going to leave those links in the description box below, so worry not, just subscribe to our channel and stay notified to our future uploads. Tell your family and friends too, guys, come on, they'll thank you later. Okay, now coming back to the topic of today, Mrs. Gokhale, for most people, buying a home is more than just a dream. An individual spends a significant chunk of their life working towards purchasing a home, and rightly so. The home buying process, however, can be trickier in reality, especially if one is a first-time home buyer. So for every first-time buyer, take me through the type of documents required, which varies depending on the type of property you wish to buy, I'm guessing. Over to you, Mrs. Gokhale.
One is you might want to buy a flat in a ready possession building, or you may want to book a flat in a scheme which has been announced. That is, a housing scheme has been announced or launched by a builder, and in which you have chosen to purchase a flat somewhere on any floor, and which construction is going to take for some say few years. Another type of property which a person may be contemplating to buy is say a bungalow or a house which is already built or which is to be built on a plot, and in that plot is contained in a plot holder society. Okay, or so that is a leasehold kind of a thing. And another house property which you might buy is perhaps not a house property as such, but land. Say for your farmhouse or something like that, right? So for all these things, any house property which you want to buy, one or two important things are these. One, you have to actually ascertain very clearly that the title of the person from whom you are buying is clear. Now, what do I mean by a clear title? I mean exactly that you have to actually ascertain that the seller from whom you are purchasing the property has got the right to sell. Okay, so what that means, that whether it is a undivided property or say a co-owner, the property is owned by two, three joint owners, or the property is say some is a leasehold property, and so you have to ascertain whether the person has got a right to sell to you. That's point number one. Second is, so you have to check whether there is an encumbrance on the property. Encumbrance on the property, as in whether there is any lien or somebody else's right. It can very well happen, and it has happened so many times, that a builder or a seller, or a particular person who claims that he owns the property has already entered into an agreement of sale with a person A, and again he's selling it to person B, and again he may sell it to person C. So these things are very common. So you need to look out for that. Number one. Number two is, you have to ascertain as to whether the property which you are looking at is sort of the building plan. If you are going to buy a flat in a construction, in a building which is under construction, then you have to ascertain whether the competent authority has sanctioned the building plan. So you have to see whether the corporation or the town planning department or the competent authority has actually put the stamp of approval or sanctioned plan, as we call it, that layout has been sanctioned. Okay, so as far as that is concerned, that has to be made clear. And the third thing which you have to see is that, like I said again, that it has not been sold to anybody. So these three things are essentially mandatory to be seen before you decide to embark on that particular transaction, Shruti. So this is actually very important. I think these are two very important things which you have to look out for before you proceed.
Okay, Mrs. Gokhale. So we were talking about credentials and understanding it holistically. So this brings me to my next question. When it comes to say choosing a builder, like in the corporate, having worked myself, quite like digging up past credentials of employees, I'm sure one needs to trace the past records of the builder as well, and projects they've probably worked on before, and how that, the holistic credibility as such. So, I mean, that's one aspect that I have read of somewhere, but what exactly goes in choosing a builder, or how does one go about it?
You said the past record which you have to see is, you have to see basically how many schemes he has already how many schemes he has successfully completed. That is, whether he has obtained completion certificate in respect of schemes which he has given possession to the purchasers. Now, what is completion certificate? You see, the corporation or the planning authority which has sanctioned the construction work or sanctioned the scheme, after once the building is constructed and once the possession of each unit is to be handed over to the respective flat purchaser, will come and inspect the building as to whether the open spaces have been kept, or whether the gardens wherever they have been shown has been done, or whether the flats have been constructed as strictly in accordance with the plan which has been sanctioned initially, and then they will issue a completion certificate. Now, a completion certificate is extremely important, because without the completion certificate, which is also known as the occupation certificate, uh, possession or occupation of the unit is absolutely illegal, and you will be fined by the government for it. And the fine in Maharashtra, Shruti, at least, which I know, is 100 rupees per day for default. So that fine would be have to having to pay by the person who is occupying the flat. So you have to actually see as to whether the particular builder from whom you are going to purchase the flat is what is his track record. Has he given the flats, the possession of the flats, to the previous housing scheme flat owners on time? Has he been successful in procuring the occupation certificate on time? And whether whether there are any complaints, whether the flat purchasers in his initial scheme have are satisfied, reviews, you can check the reviews, and whether you can see whether how many of the flat purchasers or the other home buyers have gone to the consumer commissions, or any such things, any litigation going on against the builder. All these things need to be checked before you actually decide to go for that particular builder. You have to see his track record as to whether he is complying with the formalities in time, and whether he is following the regulatory authorities' directions and mandates also strictly in terms of the provisions of law. That is what you must see, and you have to see whether there is any litigation, how many purchasers, how many flat home buyers are satisfied with his work, and so on and so forth. So that is most important to see. If you feel that there are litigations and etc., I would advise you not to go in for that particular builder.
Okay, so these fines and the penalties that you spoke of, is it like different in each state, or how does that work?
Yeah, they're different in each state, because this comes under in the state list, and that is the state government regulates these things. So whichever corporation or whichever town planning department is in charge of your particular area where the scheme is going to be located, that particular authority would be the regulating authority. That's known as the planning authority. So the planning authority, which is the regulating authority, and you can also go, if you are going to buy a flat in a particular scheme, you can also go yourself to the corporation and check out the the regulations and the mandates, if the builder has cleared those, and then you can proceed to go ahead with your transaction. You have to see the title clearance, you have to see the building plan, whether it's sanctioned, and you have to see the track record of the builder as to whether he is giving the possession on time. These are the things which you have to see. Also, as far as the rate is concerned, it's up to every home buyer whether he wants to go in for that particular rate or at whatever the builder is selling or not. That's a very relative thing.
Yeah.
Another important thing is you must see a potential home buyer must ensure that the builder is going to form a cooperative society or a apartment owners association on time, and whether in his previous schemes he has done that within the particular framework, within the particular time, and whether he has actually executed a conveyance deed in favor of the society formed under apartment owners association on time. So he has to convey the land and the building in favor of the society, and that is how the society will become owner of the land and the building, and you will be the owner of that flat on whatever floor you have purchased the flat. Otherwise, the builder will remain owner of the, and then there are a lot of disputes as to the builder will keep selling the parking spaces. The builder will keep selling the a portion of the terrace to people who are not even living over there. And as per the law, once a builder has sold off the flats and conveyed the conveyed the land and building in favor of the society, it is the society which becomes owner of that land and building, and the common areas and facilities cannot be sold to any individual flat buyer, either a flat buyer or any third person from outside. You see, all the time it happens. They sell the that the ground floor units to shopkeepers, and then they'll sell the shopkeepers parking space so that their customers can come and park their vehicles, and then it's a nuisance to the home buyers who are living on that in that building. So you must actually examine all these documents and ensure that this is not the builder doesn't intend to do that, and then proceed with the transaction.
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up because I was reading about the whole Uttar Pradesh real estate regulatory authority, right? So that also forms a part of all this. It gets into society
Absolutely.
making and everything.
Because what happens is once the builder accepts money from the home buyer, and then you have
Yeah,
like home buyers are a vulnerable lot. Believe me, they are a vulnerable lot. They have put their lifetime savings into
absolutely.
into purchasing a home, because say 2 crores, 3 crores, apartments for say a upper middle class family, and they don't mind taking a loan from the bank, and then entering into this agreement of sale. Now, many times it happens, Shruti, that the builder only issues an allotment letter to you and accepts a lump sum earnest money, and then proceeds, you go and get a loan from the bank. And then thereafter, what happens is either they don't execute the agreement to sell on time, or even if they do, they don't give the possession of the flat on time. Now, all these JPs and Amrapali, which you see, read about in the newspapers every day, that Supreme Court has been, it's only because of the intervention of the Supreme Court that the home buyers are going to get their either their refund or their flats. Otherwise, they have been taken for a very long ride, and they could have said bye bye to their money. But this is what most builders who, where litigation is going on, do, that they don't give the possession. They just start off with the scheme, then they siphon off, or use that money in some other scheme, and they don't have the money to complete your scheme. So many of their schemes are unfinished, and then people are running from pillar to post, going to the consumer court, going to RERA, going to civil court, and making police complaints. And police don't take these complaints. They say it's a civil matter. Go to the consumer commission. So many times this happens. So this is what a very fine example is the DS Kulkarni, the DSK in Maharashtra. There's so many. The builder is in jail. The family is in jail. All the directors and everybody are in custody. And now the scheme is, before in the NCLT, wherein he's filed for bankruptcy. The banks have filed against him from bankruptcy. Now, what do the home buyers do? It's been like they are the many schemes in that scheme are my clients, and it's been a harrowing experience for the home buyers trying to get their money back, because most of them are living on rent. So what they
Yeah,
have to do is pay the EMI. Okay, because the loan has been sanctioned, the bank has disbursed the entire amount to the builder, so they are paying the EMI. They are also paying for their own rental accommodation where they are living, and they don't know when they are going to get the flat. But the EMI goes on, so they are going to pay say 2 crores of rupees to the bank, return that money for a flat which is not in existence, and they don't know in the near future whether it's ever going to come to them. Such is the experience of home buyers, and that is why when you said let's have this home buyers plight chat, it was very it was much needed.
absolutely. And no, I mean, real estate was doing pretty bad at the time, but now because since COVID is also, I mean, people are coming around the idea that COVID is going to be a part of life. I think real estate is slowly picking up. So I think now is the best time we discuss this and really give some insights to the viewers today.
uh,
No, so I was
so
saying that most of our, clients also, even in my fund bazaar, we have something called the GPS goal tracker where we kind of align the amount they invest into achieving the goal they want. So I think more than 90% of them want a house of their own at some point, or, a land of their own, or something of their own. So if this is how it's going to be, then like you said, there are too much of back and forth happening, and people are unable to understand when does one substantiate or not. And it's definitely
actually, the key word, Shruti, is to be vigilant and be alert, because we,
yeah,
as ordinary persons like you and I, when we want to go and buy a house, we are just looking at that those brochures which the builder has, those flyers, and then it's going to be a
absolutely.
housing scheme. You're going to have a swimming pool, you're going to have a gym, you're going to have the school, a hospital, it's going to be a township, and we get so lured by that. One more lure which these days the builders are offering, which is completely illegal, let me just say this, is subvention schemes, Shruti. So by a subvention scheme, what the builders do is, in order to attract a customer or home buyers, they will declare that they will pay the EMI till the possession is given to the home buyer. So we feel very safe. They say, okay, so if we take a loan and give the amount to the builder, and the builder is going to pay the EMI to the bank till such time that I get the possession of the flat, then what's the harm? So I don't have to do anything till I actually get the possession. So in my mind, I think that, oh, this is lovely, this is a great scheme. So I feel safe, But this safety is not actually what should lull you, because the loan has been disbursed to you as a borrower. So the bank, if the builder doesn't pay that installment, but the bank is not going to go and catch the builder. The bank is going to come to you. So it's your credit rating. If you are in default, the bank is going to prosecute you for those dishonored checks, or for the non-payment of EMI, or the default which you will do. And ultimately, it is you who has to pay the EMI, and not the builder. These subvention
Oh,
agreements, these are known as subvention agreements. You know that even this GSK thing, they said "Adhi ghar mag paisa." That was the way they propagated the scheme, and so many middle class and everybody actually swarmed to quickly buy those flats, and that's a lure. So what they do is, in the agreement of sale, they'll say, "Ki we'll give you the possession in 2 years." Now, and we'll pay the EMI for a period of 2 years. All right. Now, after once you sign on the dotted line and go and pay stamp duty, huge amount of stamp duty and registration charges to the registrar to register that document, then comes the catch. Then they will say you have to sign also a tripartite agreement. Now, what is this tripartite agreement? It is between you, the builder, and the bank. So that is where the builder assures to the bank that for 2 years. Now they don't say the word "till I give you possession." They say for 2 years, the builder will pay the money, but the bank still binds you and saying that in case the builder doesn't pay, my principal liability is against you and not against the builder. So irrespective of any
right.
litigation between you and the builder, you remain liable to pay me. Obviously, that's what it is. And even the banks, there are a lot of regulations against the banks. The Reserve Bank of India and the National Housing Board, which are the regulating authorities, they have also issued various guidelines, and they have cautioned the banks, don't disburse the entire amount of loan, but the loan has to be disbursed in actually in proportion to the stages of construction. The disbursement has to be linked to the phases of construction, but the banks don't do that. The banks will disburse the amount to the builder, and then you are the catch. You as a home buyer, as a borrower, have to suffer if the builder does not give you possession on time. So these are the things to look out for, and don't get allured, or don't get lured by any fancy scheme the builder comes out with. Examine the agreement to sell, go to a lawyer, ask him, ask him to make a search report, independent search report, see if the title is clear, take a reviews of the builder, how many schemes has he successfully completed, see the sanction building plan, see what the builder has said. In the most of the agreement to sell, if you see, are all one sided, and Supreme Court has said that such one sided agreements are not binding. Actually, they cannot be acted upon because they are void. Essentially, they are void. So
No, it's
these are
actually scary. Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
scary. So you have to be alert, and you just can't be swayed by these schemes.
Absolutely.
Understand one thing: you have to pay a price for your flat. Pay the price, but don't make the price a mental agony of a lifetime. So ensure that the agreement is correct, the builder is doing what he says he's doing, and then sign on the dotted line. Don't get swayed by various, because as humans, we have a tendency कि थोड़ा सा free मिल रहा है तो उसमें जाओ, थोड़ा सा कम
I
price मिल
know.
रहा है तो उसमें जाओ. Don't do it.
No, like
There's
they
no
say,
such thing as free lunch.
there are no free lunches, like they say. So, I mean, if it is free, there is something,
Some catch there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
some catch to
Absolutely.
it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mrs. Gokhale, now in real estate, people often use the terms agreement of sale, sale deed, right? In fact, they are synonyms from what I have read, but both are actually different and executed at separate events. So, could you please tell us exactly what the difference is between these two?
Okay, so let me explain to you how this works. Say, for example, there is a plot of land. Okay, now the land is perhaps owned by Mr. A, okay, who is the landowner. Correct. Now, a builder approaches this landowner. If the landowner perhaps may not have the wherewithal to actually start a construction scheme over there, so he will give the development rights in that land to a particular builder. Okay. Now, after this happens, the builder will actually open up this scheme and declare that he's going to have this particular XYZ housing scheme over here. And then he will invite offers from the general public by issuing brochures and leaflets and all those flyers, etc., of his advertisement. After that, he calls upon you to actually execute agreement to sale. Agreement to sale is, I agree to buy this flat from you for such and such consideration on such and such terms. Now, in all the home buyers provisions in law, there are various state enactments known as the, say for example, Maharashtra Ownership Flat Act, or you have the Karnataka Ownership Flats Act. All these state regulations, state enactments, right? State statutes. So most of the statutes are similar. They have similar provisions. Protecting the home buyer is the object of these statutes. So that these statutes make it compulsory and incumbent on the builders to register, execute as in sign and register flat booking agreements, which are known as agreement to sale, with the purchaser before accepting any amount more than 20% of the flat. All right. So these are statutory agreements which have to be entered into. Now, when you enter into this agreement of sale, you have to go and register it, because it is a compulsorily registrable document by paying a stamp duty on it. Now, it is only when you get this registered agreement to sale in your hand that you can go and apply to any bank for a loan. A bank will never grant you or sanction any loan to you without an agreement to sell, without a registered agreement to sell. So this is what is known as the agreement to sell. Now, after once an agreement to sell has been executed by and between the builder and the flat owners, the law says that as soon as 10 people or 10 agreements of sales have been registered, it is binding on the builder to form and register a cooperative housing society if he is going to go for that particular organization, or execute a deed, something called a deed of declaration, that is a declaration by the builder which is registered, saying that I am not going to form a cooperative housing society, but I am going to subject this entire scheme, surrender this entire scheme to the provisions of the Apartment Ownership Acts of the state. So that means that you are going to have an individual apartment which is going to be exclusively owned by you in that building. So the builder will execute a direct sale deed with the home buyer in case where there is an apartment ownership association. As far as a society is concerned, he will execute a agreement to sell with you. Now, why in a society agreement to sell is going to be issued and not a direct sale deed? Because in a society, it is the society eventually which will be the owner of the land and the building, and you will get a share certificate or the allotment letter issued by the society and the builder, which says that you have been allotted a particular flat, that is with the flat which you paid for, as your flat, but you are owner of that, you have ownership rights of that flat, but at the same time you are also a member of the society, a tenant of that society, sort of. So you are a tenant co-owner with the society. So the society, the builder will execute a sale deed in favor of the society in respect of the land and the building, and you will have an allotment certificate and a share certificate, which is your title document. In an apartment association, in an association of apartment owners, you will have a direct sale deed, and the association of apartment owners will be only the owner of the land, and you will, as a flat purchaser, you will have undivided interest in the common areas along with the rest of the apartment owners. So this is the difference. Agreement to sell is I agree to sell you something. Sale deed is I have sold you something. Okay, so that's the basic difference. And ultimately, the builder has to convey as in transfer the ownership of the land and the building in favor of the society. One, in cases where the cooperative society is formed and registered, and execute a deed of declaration in the other type, that is the association of apartment owners, and each apartment owner will be the absolute owner of the flat with an undivided interest in the land. Okay, so that is the difference, Shruti.
Okay, Mrs. Gokhale, that was very well answered. I mean, viewers, if any of you are looking at buying a house, or are in the process of buying, your dream home, Tell us your experience in the comments below. I mean, it would be great to know what you all are going through, how many of you have done, each of these steps, and you are digging deep into understanding how the builder should be and all these processes maintained. So definitely tell us, and we would love to know how your experience overall is going for you. With that, moving on, Mrs. Bouquet. So now I want to talk a little more about the property ownership. So that can be freehold or leasehold, these two types, right? So what are these, and if you could explain the difference between these two, and also is it true that a leasehold property can be converted to a freehold property?
What is freehold? Leasehold is somebody is the owner of a plot of land. He has constructed, or he has assigned the development rights to a builder who has constructed, and the land still belongs to the landowner. Okay, this is called leasehold property. Now, in a freehold property, the like I said, the builder has conveyed the property, or transferred the property to you, and it is a freehold property that you are the owner of the land as well as the building. This happens mainly in plot owner society. That is, there are various, say for example, 20 people come together, say we are going to form a society and purchase a huge plot of land. Then they will demarcate each plot of land, take sanction of the competent authority, and demarcate, and lease these individual plots to their members. Now each member will build their own house. So this is a dual ownership. That is, the person who has built a superstructure, that is a house on that plot of land which is leased to him by the society, is owner of that superstructure, but the land is still belongs to the society, so it's leased to him. So that is sort of a leasehold. And now if you go and buy a plot of land anywhere which is not anybody's, and you purchase the plot of land yourself and build a house, or don't build a house, that plot of land of which you are absolute owner is called freehold property. Okay, so this is the major difference between leasehold and freehold. Now if you see Delhi, like you see in this area, say the Lutyens area and all, they're all leasehold properties, because most of those buildings, very few buildings are actually privately owned buildings. In say Firozshah Road, or in on some Haheli Road and all these areas. Now if you see, these are all owned by the ministry. They're all owned by the government of India, and they have been leased to the builders, or they have been leased to some landowners who have actually constructed these buildings. So the Land and Development Authority of the Ministry of Urban Development is still the owner. So these are all leasehold properties. Now, in order to convert them into freehold, it's extremely difficult, because it takes a lot of money, and then you have to pay a lot of money, compensation, or compensation as in for the purpose of making it freehold. But interestingly, there was a public interest litigation filed by somebody in the Delhi High Court. And the Delhi High Court, after hearing, and the litigation went out for quite some time, and ultimately, about 5-6 years ago, there has been a judgment of the Delhi High Court directing the land and the ministry to actually make all these, wherever there are high-rise buildings and wherever they have granted permission to builders to construct housing for residences, they have directed that you will convey the land to the people who are staying in the buildings. So that judgment is there, but unfortunately nobody has implemented it as yet. So we are still living in leasehold areas, and I'm sure it takes quite a Herculean task to convert them into freehold properties. Freehold is always better. You have that human feeling that
Yeah,
I own the land and I own the building. Otherwise, if you go to see
absolutely.
in Maharashtra, in Pune especially, the Ferguson College, the land on which the Ferguson College is situated is leased by for 999 years by the owners. I think Sanas or somebody Shirore, and then
Sure. Yeah.
and then 100 years were over, and then the lease was getting over. Even this Taj Mansingh Hotel, if you see, that lease of the land had got over, and then the owner would come and say that I'm not continuing the lease. So how do you go to the building? By helicopter? No. That's that's a little complex. So that's why people want to get it converted to free.
This video definitely deserves a like here because, again, in fact, Mrs. Gokhale, just taking a few moments here to share with you that I was actually discussing with my mother-in-law that, I think I'm just having this whole legalities lawyer wala course happening alongside, my bazaar, because there's just so much I'm learning. Like, you don't need to actually do a course as such or go to a college anymore. I mean, there's so much online, and interacting with the expert itself is a course. So I was just telling her, like, now today about buying a house, all the reading up and coming up with these questions. You kind of have to know. Obviously, you're the expert, but there are just so many things I'm learning, continue to learn. So it's
We are learning
amazing.
from each. We are learning from each other, Shruti. The way you manage money is not my cup of tea. I wouldn't know. I would just know to charge my clients a fee. I don't know what to do with it except spend it, perhaps. But then I come to you people. What
No,
are
but with
you?
such
What are you?
loopholes present in each, like even in real estate, these loopholes, I think we need to be, like you said, alert. Because end of the day, it's our hard-earned money, that's going into
That's
all
all it
this.
takes.
So,
That's all it takes.
yeah,
Suresh, I just want to convey to your viewers that just be alert. Just don't get, there's a sucker born every minute. That's what they say, right? But don't be one. That's your money. It's not something you want to throw around. But we get so lured by by the various, various schemes and various offers, and that we say that after all we want a home. They show you such state of art pictures, a jacuzzi, this bed, and all that, and ultimately there's that you're running from pillar to post, from this one court to another, to the police station, getting your dream home, and then ultimately it's just not worth it. So, like I said, I think not I said, George Bernard Shaw, I think, said it: fools build houses and wise men live in them. So I guess that's that. Doesn't it keep telling
absolutely.
your husband that I don't want to buy property? Shayad. Tell me any other place to keep the money but property. No way.
I know, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I am going to ask you the last question of today's webinar. So, like I was telling you earlier that we have the GPS goal tracker where we kind of align people's goals to achieving what they want in life, all their life goals. So, obviously being a fintech company, talking about expenses and understanding human expenditures is, you can say, like a conversation starter rather. It's a natural conversation starter. So this is why I'm going to ask you this question. Does every buyer need to, I mean, what are the things every buyer need to keep in mind in terms of finances, especially when it comes to like a multi-story apartment? I know per square feet charges are definitely one, but could you just tell me a little more about that, Mrs. Gokhale?
So, like I said, Shruti, this is quite relative because you have to see what the market rate is first. Because see, the government, as far as stamp duty is concerned, stamp duty is basically based upon the market rate which the government has decided for a particular area. Okay, so what happens is there is a ready reckoner with every registrar of sub registrar of assurances, where you go to register your document in a particular area. He has got a ready reckoner which gives you the market area decided by the government for the purpose of calculation of stamp duty. So you go by that initially, basically. Of course, that's not the price at which you're going to buy your flat. So you have to actually do a comparative study as to where which area you're buying a apartment, or what is the rate going on at the joining in that particular locality. Number two, if you're going to buy a ready possession in a second, in a building which is already ready, and so what is the depreciation. Then if you're going to go in for a second sale, that is, somebody has already, the building is ready, somebody is already living in it, and then he's going to tell you that how much is going to become less. So all these aspects will be taken into consideration while ascertaining a market area. But there is no such fixed rule as to this is going to be the rate. Now they'll say ki, oh, we are going to also give you a garage, remember, like I said, you can't sell a garage space along with your flat by charging you extra. And recently I came across one scheme in Bangalore. Imagine that this builder has got two agreements. One, he says it's an agreement to sell in respect of undivided interest in the land first only. Okay, and second agreement, he calls it construction agreement, saying that that agreement is on the basis of for the purpose of your flat. So that consideration, that purchase price is different, and this undivided interest in the building, in the land, is also going to be different. So imagine he's going to sell you, he's going to take money, charge you for actually entering upon the land to walk those stairs and go into your, or from the lift and go into your apartment. But this is absolutely, and
Yeah.
thousands of people have taken. It's a township, Shruti. It's so shattering. It's like mind-boggling what the builders get away with, and ultimately, we are in court now. It's pathetic. So you have to actually verify all these things. The rate, fine, the rate is relative, but by and large, you have to. It's a market rate. Obviously, if a builder is going to give you so many amenities and stuff like that, a swimming pool or say a miniplex in your housing scheme, and they come up with such dazzling ideas, and I haven't seen a successful scheme as such. So like I
So,
said, you have to be really careful. And just recently, Supreme Court directed that those not twin towers, sorry, those two towers in Noida have to be JPs or Amrapali, I think. They have to be demolished because they are constructed so close. One to unauthorized hai, there's no environment clearance, and so many other clearances are not there. And the Greater Noida Authority just sat on it and continued to give sanctions. It's all ridiculous. And that those two schemes, and I believe me, it's only because of the Supreme Court that people are going to get relief. Otherwise, it was all a no go. They would have gone away with your money.
oh my God, that would have been bad.
Very
Yeah.
scary, scary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So also, Mrs. Buckley, just out of curiosity, there is something called an actual price of a property. Is that different, or I mean, could you tell me a bit about it, like
These are
an actual
these are
price?
all these are all tags given by different builders, to pull wool over your eyes. What is actual price? So they'll say this is the actual price of the flat. Now over and above that, maybe I'm going to give you an extended balcony, or maybe I'm going to give you, this is just the built up area, and I'm going to have, the staircase also, the area of the staircase or the area in the passage outside your door is also going to be, actual price calculation. And then later on, I'm going to add this also. I'm going to give you something, some fancy, some word they'll come up with. These are all just stats. You have to see actually how much area you're going to get it to walk on or to live in your apartment, and calculate your area and the rate, and then say this is the consideration, boss.
No, for people who actually have these creative ideas, who want to try something different in the house, so that means even they'll be taken for a ride, because they will
Absolutely.
add it on their own costs, and I mean, literally business, like you said.
Yeah, they'll say we are going to give you a spiral staircase. Then that area will also be counted. Then the mezzanine floor, and it looks very jazzy and flashy, But come right on the ground, what is it? It's just a actual price. What is this actual price? There's just carpet floors
Absolutely.
and built up carpet area and built up area. The rate for them, these two, nothing else. And then say, okay, we'll give you some more money for a dip in the pool, maybe. All members don't have it. Array, there are people in the agreement of sales who have written that one more very important thing, that once the land and building is actually transferred to the society, all the FSI, that is the floor space index, the builder sometimes might get additional permission to construct, one or two more floors. So once a sale deed has happened, that if the corporation, or say the town planning authority or the planning authority gives you more additional FSI, that is permission to construct on a more area, or say one more floor or two more floors, that also will belong to the society and not to the builder. And you know what the builders do? They write in the agreement that if any additional FSI is sanctioned, then it will belong to the builder, and then the builder will still add two more floors. And but your resources, the resources which is given you, say for example, water supply, or the pipelines coming into your into your building, and then into the water in the tap in your bathrooms, all that, he will not pay extra for the additional resources. He'll just use that and sell it off, take the money, and vanish. What will you do? You have to know, these people have to know that this additional FSI belongs to the society. not to the builder. So you can't let the builder construct. Society will construct and society will take the money after selling those flats. So these are all, important things to remember.
Wow, so viewers, there is actually no actual price, right? So keep that in mind as well. That's something even I learned today. So with that, Mrs. Gokhale, we've come to the end of today's webinar. If you all still have questions about today's topic, I do believe Mrs. Gokhale has covered a lot today with all of us. But you can, either drop them in the comment below or reach out to Mrs. Gokhale on her email ID or her Twitter handle, both of which I'm going to leave on the screen for you to reach to her directly. And in case you miss out on the screen, I am going to leave her details in the description box below. She will be happy to help gain a lot more clarity if she hasn't already. Thank you once again, Mrs. Gokhale, for enlightening all of us on today's topic. Things we all need to keep in mind before buying our dream house. We definitely look forward to gracing you on a different topic next week, this time. And this is me signing off. Guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this video with your family and friends. Enlighten them on the realities of buying a house in India, which is not so easy. But yet, if you are vigilant and aware, like Mrs. Gokhale says, then of course, nothing is impossible. So thank you all once again for today. And thank you, Ms. Gokhale.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you. It is lovely being here.
So we will see you all next week.